ETH goes up, Bitcoin goes down, volatility and speculation all over the frickin' place across the market. Hey guys, it's Keith Allen. Let's make sense of what is going on. I tell you, like every time I log on to social media, I'm just amazed. I'm amazed at the responses to what's happening in the market. I'm amazed at the speculation. I'm amazed at the BS. It's frustrating. But you know what? We're going to actually look at charts and make sense of it. We're going to cut through all the noise. We're going to cut through the garbage, the bear posting, the bull posting, the trolling, the speculation on all of the political stuff that's happening around crypto. We've got three major pieces of legislation in front of Congress this week, and what's the latest? Trump is teasing his proposed no capital gains tax on crypto, but you know there's a lot of missing parts here, so we're going to get into that. Before we do, though, of course, as per usual, welcome, my friends. My name's Keith Allen. I am a work from home dad. I'm a full-time trader. I'm co-founder of Material Indicators, and I am really glad to have you with me. If you're an OG, been with me for the long haul, thank you so much for coming back. Truly grateful for your guys' continued support. If you're new to the stream, welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends. Glad to have you as well. Do me and yourselves a favor, smash some buttons, help me grow this channel. You know how it works, right? And live chat is open, by the way. So if you've got questions, I'll do my best to answer them. If you have comments and insights, please share them. We all enjoy, sharing and learning together. So the platform is yours. Use it as you wish. Let's go ahead and start. I guess we could start sharing a chart. Big news this week. Obviously, we have a huge candle, huge all-time high, huge news for Bitcoin yesterday, hitting over 123,000 on the chart. So we'll get into that, and then we'll see what's happening from here. We're going to look at ETH. We're going to look at alts. We're going to look at the news. There's a lot going on, so let's go ahead and climb right in. And I will start today on the candle chart for Bitcoin. Let's go right here. We're locked. We're loaded. We're ready to go. And as you can see, we started the day with a big, long, rock solid trend precognition down signal or a short signal, however you like to look at it. This is long and strong, baby. The longer the tail, the stronger the signal. This one registering a probability score of 68. It was 55 when it first hit last night, and it's only grown in strength since then. This doesn't necessarily mean it's a free fall to the bottom. It means that price not likely to make a new all-time high today. And if you expected it to, you're just not paying attention. Okay. So let's first address that. Let's first address the fact that we have, I got to take a deep breath for this sometimes. So the instant something, reaches a high and pulls back and doesn't push forward, people are like, what's going on? Bears are out shit posting. People who are new traders are like, oh, what's going on? I just went all in. Listen, this is normal trading behavior. The market ebbs and flows. Straight lines are not sustainable. I've said it time and time again. Look at this. From last week, it'll be a week tomorrow. So it's not even a week. From last week, we have, okay, here you go. We'll go all the way back to the 8th. That was the first green candle. We had, so 1 week, we have pretty much a straight line vertical. And this was about a 15% move, I think. Let's see. So there you go, 15%. And people wonder why Bitcoin is pulling back right now. This is normal. This is a dip. And why is this happening? More importantly, why does this need to happen? And I think it's critical that this happens because we have to have some structural support. If you don't have it, there's no place for price to land on pullbacks or when we do eventually get to a bear market. Okay. So this is not the market top. Now, this was a target I had, and I will tell you, I've been sharing this with you guys for over a year now. I had a measured move here off this cup and handle, and we validated it. We hit it here yesterday where we had a 77%, 77.5% move from the rim of the cup down to the bottom of the cup. And we took that same, because we're on a log scale and not a linear scale, we go with percentage based moved as opposed to a linear line. So based on this on log scale, 77.5% to the upside, that got us to 100, pretty much right there, 122 and change. And so we overshot that a little bit. This is validated. Now, when I first came up with this target, well, the technicals are what they are. I felt like this could, at the time, have been a cycle top, but so much has changed since back then. Okay, this was March 5th, 2024. Since then, we have a tremendous amount of institutional adoption. We have a tremendous amount of now corporate adoption, and we have a tremendous amount of sovereign nations, nation states talking about Bitcoin reserves and crypto reserves, and now we have ETH reserves happening. And this was also before we had Trump as president and all that he brings to the table in terms of his own investments and interest in crypto, a crypto-friendly SEC, legislative body, crypto-friendly Congress, and today, or this week rather, we have 3 pieces of critical legislation in front of Congress that could very soon be passed into laws. Looks like you got a couple of comments here. Let's see. Hello. Everything went up way too fast. We needed retest. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Not that it went up way too fast. It just needs to have a retest. Okay. And plus CME gaps earlier. Sure. Those tend to come into play. I don't rely on CME gaps, but I know a lot of gap traders do, and they do seem to be valid a lot of times. So yes, there's that. And if we go back to this chart here, we look at where there is any technical support, and there really is not a whole lot, right? We, just like we've had in previous consolidation levels, there's just not a lot of let me fix this here. Not a lot of areas for price to rest. Okay. So I got lots going on in the chart here. So let me clean this up a little bit and make it easier to see. So in terms of where we sit right now for Bitcoin, and in terms of where support could be, let's look at it this way. Okay. First and foremost, you have the key moving averages. Here's the 21-day moving average. The red one is the 50-day moving average. As you can see, the red 50-day has confluence with the trend line. But what are these green horizontal lines here? This is something called timescapes, and this is a new indicator I've shared with you from Material Indicators. We just actually dropped it to our Premium Plus subscribers today. And this basically is like the simplest TA you could ever ask for. Timescapes marks yearly and quarterly opens, as well as the first week of those time periods. And the reason that those are valid is because they give us a lot of insight as to what is going to happen in that time period. And it has proven itself to be reliable time and time again. And if you look at it over time, I'm going to take some of these other lines out of the chart so we can also clean it up. If you look at it time and time again, you can see how those levels came into play. All right. So in this current state, you can see here where we had the yearly open, and we absolutely consolidated at that level before breaking out. And what we're learning after, and we've been testing this for months and months and months. What we've learned here is that when price closes above those lines, that's typically an indication of bullish momentum. And when price closes below those lines, we see those breakdowns and those downtrends extend. So you can mitigate a lot of risk by waiting for price to find support at those timescape levels and then building its way out. And what we see here is, in terms of technical support, like I mentioned, we have these two moving averages and we have these timescape levels, lots of confluence in this region. So I would say that the strongest support on the chart would be in this range. 107K would be the quarterly open. The 50-day moving average is 107.8K. So, anywhere in this range, really the strongest foundational support on the chart so far. I honestly would rather not see price break the trend line and stay above this. I think that would be great. If it came to the 21-day moving average, that would be sufficient for me. That's at 100, just about 111K. And of course, we have this first week of the quarter open at 109. Anywhere in this range could serve as technical support, in my opinion. If we look at liquidity and fire charts, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, okay? We do have a block of bid liquidity right here in this range of about 113K to 115K. And that could hold. It could, but then again, it might not. And what makes me think that it might not is the fact that whales, specifically purple whales, aren't buying. Brown whales just came in with an order. It's a small order. I wouldn't get excited about that. I personally follow purple whale order flow, and at the moment, they're not buying. And I'm okay with that because I think that the consolidation is really important for the health of this trend. If price shoots up, if price just rockets up to 150 here this week, 130 to 150 in the next week, quite frankly, that's too fast. I don't think that's healthy. And I think if that happens, it could give us a sense of false security, and it could end up being a cycle top. If things take a little longer to develop, we have this legislation coming out this week. You know that the market is going to respond to that. But again, if it shoots up fast, there needs to be a support test along the way. These support tests are not only healthy, they're downright critical for the health of the trend. So you want to see those happen. Bottom line, don't be buying tops. And wait for things to cool off if you miss it. Don't FOMO in. There's always a pullback. Wait for those to happen. All right, look at the volume here today on this candle. This is massive amount of sell volume because there's a little bit of fear that things didn't continue. There's obviously profit taking, and I have no issue whatsoever with profit taking. And that 122.5K target that I showed you here on this cup and handle was valid. So it makes sense that there's some profit taking there. I'm certainly not the only one in the world who saw this. Now, let's look at what's happening with ETH, because ETH has also been enjoying some upside here this week, and it's still going, mind you. Lots of momentum for ETH coming off of this new emerging trend of ETH corporate treasuries, and a lot of realization that comes with that of what ETH is really designed to do. You can also see on the charts here, we have golden crosses happening. The 21 has just golden crossed both the 200 and the 50 more recently, and in the past few days. And so this is obviously a sign of upward momentum. And this aims to continue. Now, how high can ETH go? Well, ETH can go obviously back to its all-time high and much higher. It's anticipated. These guys who are starting these ETH corporate treasuries are certainly anticipating, 5-digit ETH at some point in time. So that target is valid. However, how long does it take us to get there? Nobody knows. But in terms of the dynamic between Bitcoin and ETH, and quite frankly, the rest of the alt market, this is where it gets exciting for a lot of people. I mean, probably the biggest most popular question on social media over the past 6 months has been when alt season, when alt season, when alt season. Well, I've been on record as saying I don't know if we're going to see an alt season like we've historically seen, but we're certainly seeing something now that has a lot of resemblance to what we saw during the Trump pump, right? When Trump was elected, alts shot up. And we can see what that looks like by taking a look at this chart of Bitcoin dominance versus alts. This is total 3ES, which is basically the top 100 coins minus Bitcoin, minus ETH, and minus stables. And up until a few minutes ago, this was all up. You see total 3 just rolling back a little bit as some money rotates back into stable coins. But this is a blip on the radar. You have to see how things extend over time. This divergence of total 3 going up while Bitcoin dominance comes down, and especially while USD or stablecoin dominance also declines, is what gives us that classic divergence that we see when we get those alt rallies. Whether you want to characterize it as a full-fledged alt season or not is up to you. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. Bottom line is select alts are freaking soaring. And so you want to see this continue. You want to see this divergence of this total 3ES going up and Bitcoin dominance going down for alts to continue to thrive here. Now, it's not all alts, I would add. Let's look at Doge, for example, which has actually been having a decent rally off of its bottom. But yesterday, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive daily attempts on a breakout here that have failed. So look for this breakout to happen, or are we going to see this rejection play out further? I'm looking at what's happening here between the moving averages, and there are a few divergences here. We have a death cross between the red 50 and the blue 100, but we also see a trajectory where the 21 is now dragging these moving averages up that could unwind them. That's going to take some time to develop. And of course, we're watching this trend line here to see if this breakout actually occurs. Let's look at Litecoin. Litecoin also struggling a bit to clear the 21 moving average. Not the 21, excuse me, the 200-day moving average. That's the purple one back here. It's also coming off of a down signal on the trend precognition. So today's just not the day. Doesn't mean it isn't going to happen, but this is the level that needs to be broken for Litecoin to soar. Let's look at a couple of others. How about let's go to Solana. Always a crowd favorite, right? Solana broke from its trend, right? You can see it broke out of the triangle, broke the trend. You see a golden cross right here in the past 24 hours between the green 21 and the red 50 moving averages. We golden crossed the blue 100 a few days prior. And so this is showing some upward momentum. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attempts to break that 200-day moving average. Hasn't happened yet. Doesn't mean it won't. Just means now's not the time. Technical support back down here. And of course, we have these timescape levels in here that are also serving as technical support and resistance levels. And what I really like about these timescapes is they're kind of hidden, right? You wouldn't necessarily spot them all if you were simply looking at the chart doing regular TA. But when you turn them on, you see where you're going to find some friction, especially in the current cycle, right? Some of these go back in time, and when they're clustered like that, that does build some strength. But the target here, the real one that needs to be hit and broken out from, is this yearly open up here. And so imagine this move right here in a, in terms of your risk reward. If you bought the breakout and technical support is down here at the trend line, that's about 7% back, and you have 15.5% just to get to the yearly open. And if you can break that, then you've got lots more potential upside. First week of the year gets us all the way up here, 30% up to that $213 mark. So there is a trade there to be had, if that's something that you're interested in. And you may want to tighten up the risk if you're not down to risk that much, because this is 10% or whatever that was, 7%, still a pretty steep drawdown in terms of how much money you're putting at risk. So all of these coins are kind of in a little different scenario. We can look at the global analysis here in the MI dashboard and get a glimpse of what. Sorry about that. Let's see. Let's stop sharing, and I will log back into that guy, and then we can proceed and see what we've got on that front. There we go. Go back to screen share, and okay, so let's go back to the global analysis here. And we can see that we are still in a period of high beta. We can see that I want to look at price returns and drawdowns on alts. This really can be telling. Going to load for me. Having some connectivity issues today here at the house. Let's go internet. Well, while I'm waiting for my internet to load, we can talk briefly about what's going on in Congress, right? We have a couple of pieces of legislation that are up for discussion. And I think I shared something here the other day. Looking forward here on my social channel, maybe it's on my personal channel, of a great breakdown of some of this legislation, and I'd encourage you to check it out so you can educate yourself on what's actually being discussed here. Bear with me for one moment. Well, here we go. It was Leo Lanza. Look him up on X if you're on that platform. He doesn't have a huge following, but he's got a really good breakdown of what's happening here on Crypto Week. It's a great thread. It's long, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing right now. But here's the deal. Here's what you need to understand. We have got a situation where you've got legislation that's going through Congress right now, and a lot of this still, a lot of this is going to create the framework and foundations for legislation that's going to be crypto friendly. But there's a lot of details still yet to be determined, or yet to be released, I should say. And so I would be cautious of your reaction to what's happening, just based on the speculation that everything's automatically good for crypto, because it's not. And one of the new narratives that's coming out this week, and it's one that we've heard before, is that Trump is talking about, his proposed zero capital gains on crypto. Well, on the surface, that statement sounds amazing, right? And we all who have been in this game think that's a fantastic thing. Well, it could be a fantastic thing, but it isn't on all crypto. And it isn't on all amounts of crypto, at least as we've heard. So back in January, one of the Trump kids, I don't know which one's the dumber one, but I think it was Eric Trump who said that it's going to be on US-based crypto projects. Okay. So would that be like the XRPs and the Cardanos of the world? I don't know. There's no clear definition that I've seen, and if you've seen anything different, by all means, please share it. But I haven't seen anything that has said specifically whether or not Bitcoin and ETH would be considered in that. And then more recently, I've heard and read some things that said the zero capital gains would be on transactions of $300 or less. All right. So if you're a long-term Bitcoin investor, and by the way, I think those assets all need to be held over 1 year to avoid the capital gains. So if you're a long-term crypto investor, and assuming that you have more than $300 invested in your wealth building, if you have less than that, then you're just starting out, and it doesn't really apply to you, and it isn't going to really be an impact for you because you're not going to pay that much capital gains tax either way. But if you have a large sum, if you're a one coiner, or even less, but if you have a significant sum of money invested in Bitcoin and you sell, then you're subject to taxation, and that's fine. That's normal. That's all fair. But if it is limited to $300 transactions, what are we going to see happening? We know that the Trump family has literally billions of dollars invested in crypto. They've got Bitcoin, they've got their own meme coins, they've got a stable coin that they've launched on their own, and that's one of the things that's being debated in Congress right now is how much the president is going to benefit from this legislation that he's trying to get passed. So if it's $300 transactions, are the Trumps just going to be $299 the fuck out of each other, just making all these $299 transactions? I don't know, man. I don't think that's realistic. I just, none of this is clearly defined, and this administration has I won't say a tendency, they have a pattern of sending out these smoke screens and smoke and mirrors to get the market excited, to get those market reactions, and then, well, they kind of underdeliver. So just be mindful of that before you get too excited about what's happening until you see it, until it passes into law, and until it is clearly defined. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's hot air until it happens. Okay. So just keep that in mind moving forward. And in terms of what we're seeing with Bitcoin and how high it can conceivably go, I do think, like I said, I had that target here at 122.5, and that's been validated. But I do think that given all the circumstances of what we've seen happening here and what we have seen with adoption, and I'm even going to put the legislation aside, with the exception of the regulatory environment being much, much better. We know, however this emerges, we're going to have a much more user-friendly regulatory environment. It's no longer going to be regulation by enforcement. There's going to be clear-cut guidelines, but those clear-cut guidelines have not yet been shared with us. Okay, so remember that. It isn't really there yet. In terms of how high we can go from here, there's a couple of things I'm looking at. One, just on pure technical analysis using a fib retracement, we could look at different fib levels, and I think that 156 level, if you wanted to take it from the macro move, from that prior all-time high at 69K down to the swing low, would get us at 155, 156-ish. And then the next levels from there would be 209, and the next level from there would be 262. Now, are all of these realistic? In this environment, with this administration, nothing is off the table. These are very high numbers, in my opinion. And then when you hear the 500,000, the million, those are realistic long-term targets, for Bitcoin. I don't know how realistic they are for this cycle. Again, you can't rule anything out with this administration, especially if there's, suddenly a Bitcoin reserve, Federal Reserve. That would obviously have some impact because other nations are going to follow and do the same thing, and then there's going to be that kind of an arms race for holding Bitcoin. And then the other target that I have here would be this lifetime channel, and I'm going to go ahead and put that back in the chart here and show you what I see here and why I think this really is going to have an impact on where we end up and the pace that we get there. And so let me expand the chart here, and let's just look at this. Let's look at this on a weekly time frame because it will be better. And I'll turn off timescapes again and clean up this chart. I'm sorry I have so much stuff on this chart, guys, but there's just, all of these things tell the story, and I like using all of them together to paint really a full picture of what's going on. So this is the lifetime channel for Bitcoin. You can see all the halvings here. We're now in our fourth halving. We fell out of this channel back in June of 2022, back in the bear market. Found support here at the around the 2017, between 2017 and 2019 top. And this was actually the FTX crash that took us down there. And we've been grinding our way back up ever since, right? We had these consolidation levels. Here's our current trend. And here is that lifetime channel. So in terms of price discovery, I showed you those fib levels. Now it's a matter of whether price can make it back into this range or not. To get there, to get there quick, and of course this is a moving scale, right? It's going up over time. So I mean, if we were to get there by some miracle, this week, you're talking about nearly $200,000 Bitcoin. Not likely for this week, near impossible for this week. But if price can make it back into this level, and I showed you those fib levels that were there, if price can make it back into this level, then that I think gives us a much faster track to higher prices for Bitcoin. Meanwhile, if we get rejected, I mean, we could grind along this trend line here, which is our current trend line. We could grind along this trend line and really still see a nice appreciation in value over time. I've gone off the charts. I've gone off the charts here. We could see through the end of the year if we were to grind along the trend line through the end of the year, that would have us at $145,000. That's a decent target for this cycle. I think a lot of people expect more, so I am too. We just have to see how things play out and how this legislation plays out and the adoption and all the things that happen next. A lot of moving parts here. A lot needs to fall into place for us to get way up here. If it happens fast, it isn't going to be good. The correction is going to be swift and nasty. If it takes a while to grind our way up, that could be tremendous. Even if we don't make it into this, you still have a chance that you could get rejected here and still have $245,000 Bitcoin or higher. Let's see. If we took that to the end of the year, it would be off the charts again. End of the year would be 266,000. So some really high numbers there. Life-changing numbers for a lot of people. I'd be just absolutely thrilled. I think anything over 150 is at that point we're on bonus time if we make it that high. So that's what I'm looking at. I hope this gives you some insight and some things that you can marinate on. I'll leave you with a parting shot of the order book here. As you can see, we do have some good support here in this 113 to 115 range. The question, though, is this going to hold? And if it does, is it going to hold for good? So just be mindful of that. And one more announcement, which, by the way, I don't even know if I've said this to you guys yet. We did just release this timescape levels indicator, and so this went to our the early drop goes to our Premium Plus subscribers at Material Indicators. All of our Premium Plus members are going to get to test with it, give us some feedback, and really help shape what the final product looks like before the public release. If you want access to it, now is your chance to get it, and to get it at a deep, deep discount. We are now offering 30% off all Premium Plus licenses, including lifetime. Use code MITS30 for 30% off Premium Plus. Take advantage of this opportunity because it is not going to last for long. You'll get timescapes, but you're going to get literally everything else we offer, including our full suite of tools, from Fire Charts 2.0 to trend precognition, and also the timescape indicator, and even our MTF mean reversion indicator, which, oh, look, incidentally, just fired off a signal at 115,696. So the tools are there for you to use. Oh, you also get everything in the MI dashboard. So lots and lots of data, charts, and indicators for you available at Material Indicators. Take advantage of the offer. Head over to materialindicators.com or check the links in the description down below. Thanks again for following me. Thanks again for participating. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of these future streams, and you can get the data and the insight that I'm sharing with you to help you mitigate risk and make better trading decisions, hit that subscribe button. Have a good one, guys. And as always, here's to trading smarter.